law enforcement and faith leaders and the like. But when you look at his tweet, Speaker Pelosi, from earlier this week, promoting this false conspiracy theory involving that Buffalo protester, Martin Gugino, and he just tweeted about keeping these military bases named after Confederate leaders, it runs counter to all of those efforts. So, Madam Speaker, do you have faith that the White House is taking police reform seriously?
Well, I have hope that they will, because I think it's very important for us to work in a bipartisan way to the extent possible. Certainly, I'm hopeful that that is possible in the Congress of the United States, and I hope that if that happens, that the president will be receptive to it. I wouldn't be distracted by any of the president's tweets or other comments. What we should focus on is the merit of the legislation, the difference that it will make, the hope that it gives people that things can and will change. And again, we must strive for as much bipartisanship, and I'm hopeful that that can be the case. We, again, as you mentioned earlier, are right now in the process of having the hearing of many authorities on the subject of justice and policing.
Nothing's going to change.
In the capital of the United States.
Nothing
that record is going to be very important as to why and how we can go forward. But let us at least try to be bipartisan or nonpartisan as we deal with this. The American people deserve that, and we should strive for it. But if we cannot, reaching across the aisle, trying to find our common ground, if we cannot, we must go forward with the strongest possible legislation to make the biggest possible difference.
Then do it.
We must make
Shut up, bitch, and do it.
Speaking of change, I was just thinking of the election in November. I was just speaking with Keisha Lance Bottoms, the mayor of Atlanta. I was asking her about what happened with the election in Georgia yesterday and all the issues with voting, and this is what the mayor just told me.
It is absolutely ridiculous. Coming out of 2016, specifically when there were so many questions about the integrity of our election, to be here again in 2020 under these circumstances, really, it's unacceptable. I think the layers of the voter suppression and the breakdown in our election system in Georgia run very deep.
My question to you, Speaker Pelosi, is, do you have any concerns about how things may go in November, just given what folks experienced in Georgia late last night?
Another scam
I completely agree
by
with
Trump.
what the distinguished mayor had to say, and she has firsthand experience into the voter suppression that exists. And that suppression takes many forms, including not being ready for an election, that what your responsibilities are. Let me say that in the HEROES Act, which we hope will be passed, which supports our first responders, our healthcare workers, our heroes in all of this fight, our teachers and the rest, against the fight against the coronavirus, and helps state and localities do their job. We also have in there considerable resources for voting by mail. This is not only a democracy issue of helping people vote at home and therefore making it easier for them, it's a health issue in the time of the coronavirus. To see what happened in Georgia, where in certain neighborhoods that are more affluent and more white, it took you 20 minutes to vote, but it took hours in other neighborhoods. That one would be suspicious that could be by design. So again, in the bill, we have $3.6 billion.
May I jump in? When you say, forgive me, Madam Speaker, when you say could be suspicious, could be by design, what do you mean by that?
By design. Well, because you don't take
designing?
Well, those who are responsible, that would be the secretaries of state, and those who are responsible in different states, it's largely secretaries of state. But you have to make a decision to remove obstacles to participation in voting. That's your responsibility. If you send out machines prematurely where there isn't adequate training and personnel to deal with the voting, you're asking for trouble. And you don't seem to mind when it costs other people hours to vote. So let's just assume that hope for the best. Always hope for the best.
Hope for the best is not change. It's not going to fix nothing, bitch.
Make sure that we have the legal strength that we need to fight all of this.
Yeah.
That we have the proper preparation of people to help other people
And
at the polls.
she means by fighting, we're gonna get scammed, or we're gonna have Russia interfere once again, and it's not gonna be a fair election come November. I can already see the headlines like 4 years ago.
As a democracy, the sacred right to vote, and that they would trample on that or ignore their responsibilities to it is something that we must address. And as the mayor referenced, there was intervention in the elections in 2016.
See?
There's no surprise in any of this.
Nope.
But I will tell you, if you saw the Republican playbook on voter suppression, you would see that there's a plan here that says we're afraid of the vote. We're going to
Yes.
do everything we
Yep,
can
yep,
to
yep,
limit
yep.
it. Limit it in terms of
Duh.
geography, locations, and limit it in terms of timing as to how late or
Sure.
in advance polls are open, and limit it in terms of the mechanics of the election.